Good evening, everyone. I'm hoping this is recording well. I'm setting this up. I have three cameras running right now. My name is Kevin Rissmiller, and for those of you watching this video after it's already been broadcast, because I'm running two Facebook Lives on two separate Facebook accounts and my recording over here for the YouTube channel that I have. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Rissmiller. I am an author published exclusively on Amazon worldwide with fans all over the world. Right now it's almost midnight here on the east coast of the United States. In about 5 minutes you're going to get to hear my Christmas clock play a Christmas song on the hour, so expect that interruption in about 5 minutes. Today, tonight, right now, wherever you are, for those of you in the Philippines, it's 5 minutes to noon, and I have fans again all over the world. I'm going to be reading a chapter from my book, Pilot Prison. And I'm showing one of my Facebook's lives is needing to reconnect. So I might be having some network issues. Let's see. Due to poor wireless connection. Well, that's why I'm doing two accounts. If it drops off on that one, I still have the other one. And I also have the YouTube video that's recording as well. So I'm going to be reading. I've already put out one previous video on Facebook, a Facebook Live, and a YouTube as well, of me reading the first three chapters of my book, Pilot Prison. Went too ambitiously then and too long. Tonight, or today, wherever you are, which in about 4 minutes here on the east coast of the United States, is going to be July the 12th, 2018. And myself, Kevin Rissmiller, the author of Pilot Prison, and also another book called I Worked for Trump. I'll be reading that one later. The other Facebook just signed back on, so there'll be a big gap in there. But I've started this project where I'm going to be reading from each of my books to gain interest and access. And please go to Amazon.com, look up my name, and I don't understand why that Facebook Live is always backwards. It looks like that one might be too. For those of you who it's reversed and can't read, just look at the top and you should know my name because it's on all these accounts that I'm putting it out on. Just go to Amazon.com in the search box, type in my first and last name, Kevin Rissmiller, and the two books I currently have available will come up. I've got other ones coming out soon. Big commercial there. That is why I'm doing this, to help promote my books and for you to get a taste of what's in them so you can hopefully gain interest and want to read them in either regular hard book format, meaning something you can hold, or an ebook that you download. In the previous Facebook Live I did, I read the first three chapters, if I'm not mistaken, and if I didn't, of course, message me, let me know, and I'll go back and pick up where I left off. I believe this is where I left off in the book Pilot Prison. I'm going to read chapter 4. I'm trying to keep this brief. My chapters are brief. I try to do that in the style of James Patterson. I might go 4 and 5. Let's see how long 4 and 5 be. We'll see how it goes. That one keeps dropping off. It just dropped off again with a bad connection. So I'm going to just do what I planned and just read chapter 4. Chapter 4 of Pilot Prison, starting on page 25. Outside the ceremony across the street, former corrections officer William Barber fumes as he watches the live broadcast with his fellow picketers. Feeling that even though they accused him of brutality against inmates in his charge, it was really them getting rid of him and others like him to make room for this robotic monstrosity taking food off of his table. All his anger was focused on the android up on that stage. It represented what Barber felt was the beast that took his job from him. Just like he wouldn't let the inmates he managed get away with anything going unpunished, neither would this machine get away with what amounted to stealing his job from him. Pilot was going to pay. And he had the device in his trunk that would do the job. Christine Belove smiles into the camera and speaks. Florida's prison system... Well, wait a minute now. You know what, folks? I did read this in the previous... I'm going to save you all from sending me a bunch of hateful comments. Well, wait a minute. I just started this, and some of you are probably mad if I stop now. Well, you know what? If you want to hear what the rest of that, go look up my previous video, because I don't want to bore people by rereading stuff. And there's that... Oh, well, that's perfect timing now, isn't it? All things for a reason. Let's see. You know what? Did I pick up on 5? I'm trying to remember where I left off. I should have watched my other video first. But this is the joy of Facebook Living. I think I'm going to start with chapter 5. It's a little longer anyway. 4 was a short chapter. Again, I do the whole James Patterson thing. Yeah, I'm gonna skip 4 and go right to 5. I'm fairly certain I did 4 in the other Facebook Live, and for those of you who have been following this, or hopefully are following this, you'll let me know if I messed up. And I'll just do another one to make up for it. That's all. Chapter 5. Raymond Kimberly's face filled every screen watching all over the world. He was a tall man with glasses. Gray was advancing on what once was a light brown head of hair, now thin as well. He seemed like the type of man who was more at home talking to devices than to people. Yet confidence and intelligence radiated from him as he spoke. The pilot algorithms for its artificial intelligence are shared and housed on a variety of pilot devices. This can be done because of the special pilot quantum computing chip, allowing all decisions possible to be made at the same time, and then the best one selected quickly. My company, Kimtech, produces these special quantum computing chips exclusively. That makes the high-speed decision-making that mimics wetware biologic computing of the human brain. But it does it with semiconductive biomimicking metal components. Parallel integrated leveling overclocking transistors. I'll read that part again, because it spells out pilot. Parallel, integrated, leveling, overclocking transistors, pilot, was the first use of the acronym. When the first chips were developed, creating the quantum chip technologies capable of mass production and casual use in the devices and their potential. Pilot has actually had several incarnations and meanings, not all flattering, but the name stuck. So we honored it by naming this intranet-based intelligence artificially created after it. We just call it Pilot. Pilot is smart, strong, and learns very fast. It follows the laws of robotics and its safety protocols, but remains autonomous in all ways. It is safe and secure. There are redundant backups built in, meaning you could destroy or damage a significant portion of Pilot and it will retain its functionality. The unique droids, devices, holographic, and other replicated avatars Pilot uses and creates itself are stronger, smarter, autonomous, and more advanced in sensory and security than any human standard. Pilot's self-defense abilities exceed the likely ability of any human adversary, as inmate charges are expected to attempt at times. Elements of the system were exposed to real-world scenarios during its trials, and all the best efforts made by adversarial individuals met with failure. Self-monitoring allows the system to adjust itself in any events of breaches in the system integrity. Raymond Kimberly smiles at the camera. This seems slightly forced and somewhat unnatural for him, but you understand his attempt. He continues. Pilot is a safe and secure system. I know because one of the first versions has taken care of me and my family now for over a year. We are all just fine. The camera backs up on the video screen showing a family portrait-like pose of the family with the pilot android. The one on the stage nods its head and flashes a thumbs up to the audience. Assorted chuckles are heard to the droid's gesture in the background. Thank you, Dr. Kimberly. We appreciate this rare look into your personal life and sharing with us about Pilot and its potential. Christine Belove again smiles into the camera with a practiced poise that shows her professionalism, and the camera loves her. Now, it's time to start the process of sending the first 5 men into the prison. For that, I am going to turn things back over to Pilot. Christine gestures to the droid on the stage. Thank you, Christine. At that moment, a pod emerges, just larger than a man, and an opening hatch rolls away, obviously where the pod starts its journey to the tunnel that takes the pod into the prison. At the same time, 2 additional droids appear on the stage and herd Ben into the pod. Most of you at one point have been to a drive-up banking window where you take a similar version of the pod out, place your transaction, then send it through a series of tubes to the teller in the bank to conduct your business, Pilot says. This is very similar to that. The men will be sent from this specially created area made only for this purpose for today's ceremony and into the facility for processing and their orientation. Because these men volunteered to be part of the Pilot Prison program, they have been given significant sentence reductions. This incentive was offered in an effort to show the inmate population could safely make the transition. It is also estimated and believed that any and all future inmates will qualify for a sentence reduction as well because of the behavior modification programs Pilot offers inmates. This will be proven, of course, over a period of time. Pilot will attempt to not only modify individuals away from immoral criminal behaviors, but also train them in a wide variety of careers and vocations. The pilot droid perfectly delivering his sales pitch while everyone watches Ben get secured into his pod. The droid backs away as the pod shifts into position to be launched into the tube. Kaylee and Blake forced smiles and wave at Ben. This catches Christine's reporter eye. That's the end of chapter 5. And I'm going to stop right there and leave chapter 6 for the next session of Facebook Live, where I'm reading from my book, Pilot Prison, which is available exclusively on Amazon all over the world. And a hello again to all of my fans out there. Many of you who've read the book. Only a couple of you have gone to Amazon to rate. I'm grateful for the 5-star ratings as I get them, and those who give less, I don't expect everybody to love it, but I have seen some really awesome reviews. I've gotten a lot of people who've contacted me on Facebook and elsewhere, Messenger and so forth, YouTube and whatnot, who have really enjoyed the book. That is the conclusion of this Facebook Live video of reading from my book, Pilot Prison. I'm going to end this so it can be posted in the appropriate rooms. And in a few moments, I'm going to do my next Facebook Live video, which will be reading from my book, I Worked for Trump. Because I actually did work for Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, back when he and a bunch of other rich guys tried to compete with the NFL. And I worked in Giants Stadium, of all places, trying to contact Giants season ticket holders to see if they could buy tickets to Donald's team, the New Jersey Generals. Of course, unfortunately, that league failed, and got to hear the old standard phrase, "You fired." Just kidding. Well, not kidding, but you know what I mean. Donald was an awesome boss, and it's really, really freaky weird for me to know the guy who's in the Oval Office, but it's kind of cool at the same time. And he was a good boss. He was fair. All this stuff people keep saying about him being a bigot and a racist, crazy. He didn't care what you were. Look at all the women he's got working for him. Kellyanne and Sarah Huckabee Sanders and so forth. He didn't care if you were a woman, if you were black, as long as you got your job done. He was tough but fair. All he was about was getting the job done, which I'm just sharing that with you from my personal experience, and I don't want to tell you too much because I want you to also go buy my book, I Worked for Trump. I'm working on sequels for this, sequels for Pilot Prison, and I have other books coming out soon too, personal tragedies, religious, Christian-oriented, and I also have a lot of science fiction books I've got to get put together and out to y'all. But for now, those are the 2 books available, and I'm going to be ending this now. Again, thank you for watching. This was a chapter from my book, Pilot Prison. I'm the author, Kevin Rissmiller, and you're welcome to leave comments. Come visit my pages. I've got a bunch of groups. As a matter of fact, for Pilot Prison, I have a Avatars and Inmates of Pilot Prison fan site, which is a group you can go in and post things and see the stuff. You can post anything in there. It was originally supposed to be a role-playing game. That's what was my initial intention. But it warped into anything in the world goes on in the real world is replicated or looked at by prisoners. They try to have their own microcosm world in there where they follow every. Matter of fact, it's even more important for prisoners to keep in contact with what's going on in the real world, not just come out with this sudden blank void of years. So, with that in mind, Avatars and Inmates of Pilot Prison fan group are for fans of Pilot Prison, but are for anybody. Anybody can go into that group. I also have a fans and friends of Kevin Rissmiller fan group that's more supposed to be oriented towards me as an author. And again, thank you to everyone around the world. I have fans all over the world. The book is sold all over the world. It's my bestseller. Again, the book Pilot Prison, Amazon.com. Look up my first and last name, and both those books are currently available. So I'm going to wrap up this Facebook Live video for those of you who are watching, and I'm going to do another one now to read the next chapter of my Trump book. If you want to come back and tune in for that, you're welcome to it. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching, and have a good early morning, late night, depending on wherever you are, middle of the afternoon on the other side of the planet, and so forth. Bye-bye.